guys, it's Izzy Champ RSL coming at you from down under. So today we're going to be looking into the topic of chase champions. I'll be rating every chase champion that I remember. So we've got Rhonda, adelyn, ratholos, Artek, and a few others. So we'll start off with the Bannerlord ones, which is... So we've got Rhonda. We'll start off with Rhonda. So, a chase is this 7-day login reward. If you log in for 7 days, you get a free legendary and a few bits of gear. They changed it for adelyn, where you also got her soul, but that's only because she's not very good. So first up, you got Rhonda. So you've got her normal attack. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Places an extra hit if the target has less than 50% HP after the 3rd hit. Now that actually has a pretty high multiplier, so that deals a fair bit of damage. Now the trick is, get her crit rate up, because she'll deal a lot more damage. So you've got, can't see it, but you got crit rate, right? You want to get that up, because crit damage, it's already 63% extra damage if it's a crit. So you don't even need to worry so much about attack if you've got crit rate, because you just get crit damage up. Then you've got her second skill, Phase Rush Down, so that can be turned to a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy 3 times, will ignore shield buffs and 30% of the target's defense. Places a block passive skills debuff for 2 turns before attacking. This debuff cannot be resisted. Also places a block active skills debuff for 2 turns after attacking. This debuff cannot be resisted. Damage based on attack. So that also has a very high multiplier, and it's the same deal. If you got high crit rate, it deals a lot more damage. So, Rhonda is especially good for the Fire Knight because of her multiple hitting skills. She's good for other things. I use her as my campaign farmer, but mostly the Fire Knight is her specialty. She was also built to counter Ultimate Death Knight and other chase champion. So these two are the only skills you'd use for the Fire Knight, because they attack lots of times. Then you've got her Fury Tremor Attack All. Attacks all enemies 2 times. Damage increases by 30% if this champion has more than 50% HP. So then passive effect, immune to turn meter reduction effects when this skill is not on cooldown. Decreases all turn meter reduction effects used against this champion by 50% when this skill is on cooldown. That can get it down to 5 turns. The passive doesn't have a cooldown. So that is a good skill for waves. You wouldn't really use it for a boss though, because it only attacks 2 times. And anyway, it's got the... You probably just wouldn't use it in arena either as much, because she's immune to turn meter reduction effects when it's not on cooldown. So that's a very handy thing to have. Then you've got her passive. In your corner. You can only... It's only level 1, you can't level it up. Has a 15% chance to join and attack whenever an ally attacks an enemy. This champion will attack with their default skill. At the start of each round, places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 40% of their max HP. So, that shield, 40% of her max HP, that's a very good shield. It's only on herself, but that's still quite good. And then you've got the 15% chance, that was also definitely for the Fire Knight. Like, that means that every few turns she's going to join in attack, dealing 3 or 4 points to his shield. So incredibly handy. Then you've got her aura, increases ally attack in all battles by 30%. So if you look at the reviews, she's pretty darn good. 4.5 is her lowest, and it's pretty hard. Hydra, these ones you need specialist champions for mostly. Everything else, yes, see, Fire Knight and Campaign, very high. Demon Lord, you put Smite on her because she attacks so many times, and she has a very high chance of placing it because of all those attacks. So, next we have Ratholos, the Blade Master. He is a very cool, incredibly cool champion. He was released as a tandem with, what was it? Dragon Hunter? Monster Hunter. For a special event. There were several other special Monster Hunter styled characters released as well. Ratholos was a free one though. So we've got Spirit Thrust. Attacks one enemy. Has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. If the target is a boss, this debuff cannot be resisted. Damage based on attack. So it becomes a 65% chance to place it when fully booked. So then we have attacks one enemy. Every second use of this skill in a round will attack all enemies instead. Will also ignore 25% of the target's defense if the target is a boss. If a boss, will ignore 100% of the target's defense. That's pretty good. So he's a boss killer, like absolutely. Every one of his skills, even his next two, have something to do with bosses. So he's got a pretty high multiplier, medium like base attack. He's got good reviews though. Like he's not really bad at anything. People say he's better than Rhonda, but I'm not sure about that. I like Rhonda better. Then you've got Overhead Slash. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places a 30% increased crit damage buff and a 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns. Now can get down to a 3-turn cooldown. The increased crit damage is alright, but it means you've got to have a 100% crit rate for it to actually be properly effective, which is quite difficult if you have high base attack as well. So it's really annoying. The increased speed, however, is quite good because when it comes to his passive, inflicts 50% more damage against targets under HP burn. Receives 25% less damage from enemies under HP burn. It's annoying because he doesn't place it himself, but there are lots and lots of HP burners you can get quite easily. Then every 5th skill used by this champion deals 200% more damage. So the increased speed is good for that because you want him to get goes, so he deals that 200% more damage, which is going to hit really, really hard. Especially if you use Spirit Step Slash, because that ignores 100% of enemies' defense. So then we've got increases ally attack in dungeons by 30%. So it's similar to Rhonda's, but not as good. But if you don't have Rhonda, then it's still pretty good, because dungeons is one of the most commonly farmed places, because you get all your armor. You've got, when you get higher up, you've got souls, you've got ascension, you got potions, you got absolutely everything in dungeons except XP. So he definitely, like I said, specializes in boss killing. He's good for arena, just because he deals a lot of damage and he's a free legendary champion, so he comes with some armor, or he came with some armor, so quite easy to book. So then next we have our final Bannerlord's Chase champion. There were more Bannerlord Chase champions than anywhere else, and it quite annoyed me because faction crypts, it meant that I could get super far in Bannerlords, but I could barely progress anywhere else. So we've got Adelyn, the most recent Chase champion. When she came out, there was uproar because she was the rubbishiest Chase champion ever released. She was horrible. If you just look at the reviews, these are quite generous actually. It's only because she came with so much gear and because of her soul. Like, her skills are not very good when we take a look at them. So we've got Equivalent Exchange. Attacks one enemy. 50% chance of transferring one random debuff from this champion to the target. Also has a 50% chance of stealing one random buff from the target. That becomes 75. So it's a very meh skill. Like, if she's transferring something like a big debuff, like, I'm trying to think, maybe Hex? That would be, like, better, I guess, or maybe like 2 or 3 turn HP burn, something. There are not many debuffs that you can transfer like that are really good, unless it's like block active skills. And then stealing a buff, like one random buff, like it's all right, but again, it's like you got a very low chance of stealing anything decent. At best, you're gonna steal like a 1-turn block damage. Like that, at best they might have a block damage buff on, but then they've probably got 1 or 2 other buffs on, meaning you've only got a very low chance of getting the one you want. So then we have Healing Script. Now, this is one of the worst healing skills for a legendary I think there are in the game. So you got restores 25% of each ally's destroyed max HP, then heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP. Now, like, it's alright. Like, it's a decent heal. It's based on her HP, but the restores destroyed max HP does almost, like, it's very meh. You could make it at least, like, 40%. Like, wait, the only thing I'm not sure about is if it's 25% of their max HP that's destroyed, or 25% of the... So does it, like, restore 25% of the destroyed max HP? So say 40% of their max HP is destroyed. Does it restore 25% of that? Or does it restore 25%, like, compared to their health? It doesn't really specify, which is a bit annoying. But that can be taken down to a 3-turn cooldown, which makes it alright, but it's still, again, it's not amazing. Then we've got Writ of Sleep. It's absolutely horrible. I think they buffed it a bit because it used to be 4-turn cooldown. So you've got, when fully booked, 75% chance of placing a sleep debuff, or 100% chance of placing a sleep debuff on a target for 1 turn when fully booked. Also has a 100% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff and a 50% decreased attack debuff on the target for 2 turns. Debuffs placed by this skill will ignore any block debuffs buffs. Now that's alright, but, like, the decreased attack, if they've got sleep, that's not the handiest. Like, and a 1-turn sleep on one enemy is really not good. Like, and it doesn't even ignore resistance. Like, it's not like it can't be resisted, it just ignores block debuffs. Which is, again, really not good at all. But I think they should... Plarium needs to buff this champion a bit. A few of the endgame YouTubers, like Ash, I think it was, have found that she can solo or in a duo clear stage 25 of the Phantom Shogun. But that takes so much of your good gear, and it's really difficult for players not real endgame, that it's really not worth it. Then you got a passive. Allies deal 3% more damage to targets for each debuff placed on them by this champion, which is the only good part because she places 3 debuffs every 2 turns, even if they're not very good, but that's especially good on bosses. She's built for the Sand Devil more because of her sleep. That's the only debuff the Sand Devil doesn't resist, and then places these afterwards because as soon as the sleep's on him, you can place debuffs on the Sand Devil. And then the destroyed max HP is for the Sand Devil as well, because he destroys max HP. So then, dealing more damage that's probably the best bit. Then you've got a Aura, increases ally accuracy in all battles by 60. Now that is, apart from her Aura, that's probably her only good part, which is not very good. She doesn't even have very high base HP. Like, she's got good defense and medium HP, but she's, again, not amazing. So then now it's another faction. So, we've got Deliana. So, Deliana is a HP champion, so she does damage based on HP, which is the first chase champion we've seen with this skill so far. So we've got attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance when fully booked, 60% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns, damage based on HP. So that's if you beef her HP really, really high, she can deal a bit of damage. But, like, other than that, it's like, the leech is, for things like Hydra, that's pretty good, because it's an attack all leech, but other than that, it's not amazing. Then you've got Withering Scorn. When fully booked is a 3-turn cooldown, and attacks one enemy. When fully booked has a 100% chance of placing a 50% decreased resistance debuff for 2 turns on one enemy. Is not amazing. And then if the target is under a block buffs debuff, also places a debuff spread effect, taking any decrease resistance debuff on the target and placing it on all enemies. So that makes it better. Like, absolutely. Because she places block debuffs on her, or block buffs on her next skill. Know your place. Attacks all enemies. When fully booked, 100% chance of placing a block buffs debuff on each enemy for 2 turns. Heals all allies by 5% of their max HP for each block buffs debuff placed by this skill. Fills this champion's turn meter by 10% for each block buffs debuff attempt, blocked, or resisted by the enemy team. Damage based on HP again. When fully booked, it's a 4-turn cooldown. So that's alright. It's same as adelyn. It's nothing super outstanding though. It's not like decreased resistance it's alright for arenas because then you can place your stun, but it's not. She's alright. And then you got a passive. So the passive effect is increases this champion's accuracy by 2 for every 1000 HP this champion has. Which means that she starts off with an extra 40 accuracy because she starts off with 2000 health, I think. And then active effect places a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns every time this champion's HP drops below 50%. Which can't be, it's a 4-turn cooldown, which is not amazing. Then you've got increases ally HP in all battles by 33%, which is pretty good. But she's alright, but she's not a game changer. She looks really cool, but she's not actually all that great. So, yeah. We have the Skinwalker legendary spirit, Sun Wukong. Now, he is a game changer. He is a meta. He is a power creep. This guy is so powerful. He is based off the Chinese legend of Monkey King, or his name is Sun Wukong. So he's got his little staff, his magic, and that's about it. I don't remember anything in the legend about him having a magic duplicate, but it doesn't really matter. So we've got his first attack, Gotcha. Attacks one enemy, 25% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. The chance increases to 50% if the target has any buffs. Then that becomes 50% without buffs and then 75% if they have buffs. Damage based on attack. So that is a good skill. 75% chance when fully booked if they have a buff of placing stun. Very, very good. Very good. It has a high multiplier and it's just quite handy. And the thing is he's spirit, so he will nuke against the force champions, which is what you want because force champions generally for some reason seem to have a lot of health. Then you've got Staff of Wonder. When fully booked, this is a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense. Will attack all remaining enemies with any surplus damage if the target is killed. This attack will also ignore 50% of the target's defense. This attack cannot be critical. If the initial target survives, places a sheep debuff on them for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked. So that's really good for arena. Actually anywhere, but an ignore 50% of the target's defense is really, really good. And then attack. The only thing that stops him from actually breaking the game is this attack cannot be critical. Because if you could get that to be a critical, you could wipe out the whole team in one go so easily. Deals any surplus damage if the target is killed with attacks all remaining enemies with it. That's really good because then you can attack the weakest person, get them out of the picture, and then attack everyone else with that surplus damage. And then if the initial target survives, places a sheep debuff on them for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked. So a sheep debuff basically turns them into, they look like a sheep. They can still attack, but it's a very, very, very weak attack. And it means that they are instantly sent to 50% HP, all debuffs and buffs removed from them when they come out of the sheep. If you deal enough if you kill the sheep, they come back. And if the sheep expires, they come back. So if you kill the sheep, it doesn't kill them, sadly. And then we've got Now You See Us. That can be taken to a 3-turn cooldown as well. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, steals all buffs from all enemies, then places a block buff, speed buff on them for 2 turns. This is the best buff stealing skill in the game, I'm pretty sure. It's got a high multiplier, and before attacking steals all buffs from all enemies. And it steals, not removes, which makes it even more powerful. And then block buffs means they can't even place any buffs to make it back up. An incredibly, incredibly powerful skill. He's an arena mostly. You can use him for other things if you don't have a better champion for, like, say, campaign farming. But arena fantasy, 4.8. Faction wars, yeah, because you pair him with a tank and he'll just keep coming back up, as we'll see. So you've got his passive. Revives this champion with 100% HP and 100% turn meter 3 turns after they were killed. Unbeatable Wukong, I like the name of that. So he basically revives. So after 3 turns, right? So say the boss gets, whoever you're versing gets a go, then you get 2 goes, then he'll revive with 100% turn meter. So you can't keep him down. And he's got low or medium HP base attack HP. He's got high base attack. He's got very low base defense, which is very good because it means he can be taken out easily, but you can beef his attack. He's got normal crit rate and crit damage, but that's about it. So he's definitely a very good champion. He's a game changer in Arena if you don't already have some of the top tier champions. It's try and get your hands on him even if you weren't there for the chase, because he's so powerful.